hope I'm audible to everyone in the Zoom room. Thank you all to all the participants for joining in. I am Aisha, and I welcome you all on behalf of Octara in this 1 hour special webinar on Women's Day, I Thrive, led by Rosemary Fernandez. Before we move on, I want to share some housekeeping rules with all of you. I would request all the participants to mute themselves and keep their cameras off. If you have any questions during the session, you can put them in the chat box and we will take your questions towards the end. The session is being recorded and will be later uploaded on Octara's YouTube channel. You can also go and subscribe to the channel and access to more videos. After the webinar is finished, we'll have a group photograph with our cameras on preferably. And all of those participants who will fully attend the webinar will get a certificate and Octara's loyalty card for 500. During the session, if you find any technical difficulties, you can contact my colleague Sarimati, who is also the co-host of this meeting. Now, before I introduce our speaker of the session, Rosemary Fernandez, I would like to share a short video message from our CEO, Jamil Janjua, about what we do at Octara. Have a look.
Hi, hello. My name is Jamil Janjua, and I'm the CEO of TCS Octara. Octara is a company that belongs to the TCS group of family, and it has established an enviable reputation as being one of the leading executive training service providers in Pakistan. A large part of our success is attributed to our chairman, Mr. Khalid Wan, whose personal commitment to encourage the development of the people at both TCS and at the Pakistan level. It has been very, very stimulating and very, very inspiring for us. We take great pride in delivering high quality learning experiences which are based on extensive research of training needs, after which programs are created, working with the best possible trainer, the content developed to address the needs, then marketed as a series of leadership acceleration programs, and finally delivered, ensuring all logistics is taken care of to ensure a high quality learning experience. Our team motto at Octara is to help you succeed. Thank you.
Now I would like to introduce our presenter of the day, Rosemary Fernandez, who has an extensive experience in HR. She has worked with several Fortune 500 companies across Pakistan, Canada, USA, and a subcontinent in South Asia. She has been recognized by professional certified coach and credentialed by International Coaching Federation. She's also the founder and transformational coach at Coaching Works Canada, and she also a professor at Centennial College Canada. And there is a lot more to her profile, but without any further ado, I would like to turn over the stage to Rosemary and welcome her on board, and over to you, Rosemary.
Thank you, Aisha. Among all the things you said about me, you forgot to say that Octara is my old stomping grounds. I have been with Octara ever since it came to birth, I don't know how many years ago. And it's my pride and honor to be again presenting on International Women's Day, which I have also done before on this platform. It's so exciting for me to be back in an audience from Pakistan. And as I see, there are people here also from Canada. Daphne, nice to see you. And there's someone visiting us from Mumbai in India also, Anuba Kini. I'm so happy you could make it to hear my talk this morning. And so it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world that you are showing up from. Today's International Women's Day, and the theme for the year is Break the Bias. So the bias is the bias against women and any other biases that we may have. But my talk is not only geared to women, it's also geared to men, because International Women's Day is, yes, is celebrated especially for us women. And my topic is geared to everybody with no bias. So can everyone see my screen? Somebody just say yes or put a hand. Aisha, you can see.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
all right. So
Yeah.
welcome to I Thrive 2022. And I just want to say this program came about at the end of last year when one of my clients, she wanted me to put together some kind of inspirational talk so that her company could hear me and listen to me. And I racked my brain about what is it that I can share with the rest of the world. Maybe something from my own experiences and my wisdom, things that I have benefited from, and perhaps some of my coaching clients, my other clients have also benefited from. So I put together I Thrive 2022. And the word thrive comes from my theme for the year, my theme word for the year, thrive. And ever since I made thrive my theme word, believe me, my life has been thriving. And I feel truly, truly blessed that it has, given everything that's going on in our global world right now. And there's so much of what we've had to face, and maybe we are facing even at the moment. So I would say in total humility that it is a year for me to thrive. And so before I start my program and I start talking to you, I would encourage you to find a word that is going to be your theme word for 2022. March 8th is not too late a time to think about that word. And when you get hooked on that word, you can use some of the points that I have in my toolkit that's going to help you have a really successful 2022 and to all and an eventful year that you are going to remember always. So you've heard the blurb about me, and so you don't need to spend too much time here. I'd rather talk about the toolkit that you are going to use. And so here we are in the race. As you can see the race with men and women together. See, the women are blocked with their usual kitchen tools and so on, just a joke. And so I'm going to ask you a question now. You've chosen your theme word for the year. And if you would just do a show of hands, or use the emoji, or somewhere use the chat line, and I would ask you, are you living your passion? Are you living your life's passion? No. And if not, why? I see Daphne nodding her head. So I'm going to introduce you to tool number 1. It's taken from a book by Viktor E. Frankl. And I'd like to note that this book was introduced to me by none other than JJ. Jamil, thank you. But it's been my constant companion. And as I said, I'm sharing with you authors and tools that are dearest to my heart, that have helped me in my life, and that will hopefully help you also. And what he says, his quote, that everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, it's your freedom. Okay, you can choose your own way, the power of your attitude and your positive mindset. And so just to illustrate this point, I want to tell you a little story. You may have heard this story before, but there's this old man a sage. He's full of wisdom. He's totally wise. And everybody goes to him. I would just request if you could, Rosemary, if you would put your camera off, because it's distracting me, the activity that's going off. And Daphne too, if everybody would have their cameras off, that would be great. So there's this old sage, wise wisdom, buzurg. Everybody goes to him for advice. Everybody goes to him for, whenever they are in trouble, they go to him to ask him to solve the problem. And so this young kid, he said, he's thinking to himself, hey, this guy thinks he's so wise. I'm going to trick him. Let's see how wise he is. So he gets himself a little bird, and he puts the bird in his hand, and he says, I'm going to go to this buzurg, and I'm going to ask him, in which hand is the bird? So if he says the right hand and the bird is in my right hand, I will let it fly away. And if he says the left hand, well, my left hand is going to be empty. So he's never going to know which hand the bird was in. So he goes with his hands behind his back to the buzurg, and he says, you're the wise old man. Everybody comes to you for advice. You have the answer to everything. So can you tell me in which hand is the bird? I have a little bird in my hand. Can you tell me, is it in the right hand or is it in the left hand? So the buzurg scratches his head and he looks at the young man and he says, beta, the answer to that question lies in your hands. And so that story is to tell you that whatever you do in your life, the answer really lies in your hands. You have the power to choose and you have the power not to choose. It's your will. The answer really lies in your hand. And when he talks about, and when Viktor Frankl talks about attitude and positive mindset, it is up to us to have that positive attitude and mindset. The choice is yours. How you see your world is really through your lens. So it depends on your mindset. And fortunately, mindsets can be changed. Tool number 2 is that change takes place if it's intentional. And I bring this up, intentional change. Wayne Dyer talks about intentional change, the power of intention. And we have Richard Boyatzis, who tells us, who designed this model of intentional change. And I just want to talk briefly about what is the meaning of intentional change. It's very different from goal setting. And an intention is something that you combine your mind, your thoughts, along with your heart, your feelings. Thought and action together gives you intentions. And so when you say, I intend to, then you know that you have committed your mind and your heart to make that happen. And this is a 5-step model that is designed for you to achieve your intentions. So what is your ideal self? Your ideal self is who you really, really want to be. But who are you now? Your real self. So how are you going to bridge this gap between your real self and your ideal self? How do you get there? What is your learning agenda? Maybe you need to change some habits. How do you make that change stick? And then who do you need in your circle that's going to support you to achieve your ideal self? You see, here's a little joke about how you change. The computer tells the guy, stop blaming me for being so slow. You're the one who still types with one finger. Fortunately, I went to typing school, so I don't type with one finger. So I moved with the times. My tool number 3 is your values and your time. And Nir Eyal, he's a great author that his book, Indestructible, if you can see it here, he says that time is not a resource. Time management is about being at peace. We must accept that we can't do everything. But who we really are is how we spend our time. So when you start to look at your life and you do a little time analysis, how do you spend your time? You will spend your time on the things you value the most. If you don't value it, you wouldn't be spending your time on it. So who you are is really where you spend your time. And if you start looking at your time and your time wasters, then you'll know that those are the things, those are the situations that you need to remove from your life. Because if it's not in keeping with your values, then you're spending your time on the wrong things. And then here's my friend, Dr. John DeMartini. I really urge you to Google his name, okay? And he has the most wonderful YouTubes and inspirational talks. In fact, he does one almost every day. And he talks about having personal vision. And he says, if you dedicate your life to a cause that really inspires you and serves others, you will find that you will start to enjoy your life much more. He also, on his website, you go to DeMartini's website.com, he has an icon there called values. And his assessment, it's free. You will discover for yourself where you spend your time. And he says, where you spend your time is your values. That's your value system. He does not believe that honesty and integrity and those kinds of personal attributes are values. Your values are where you spend your time. And he says if we start realigning our values, we would start to achieve and attain so much more out of our lives. And so we start to remove, we only work on things that are priorities, and we don't work on things that are not priorities. So when I start to think about, I've only been introduced to DeMartini very recently, about 6 months ago. And he really, really hones in on the fact that we do things that we really that do not fall within our values. Why do we get distracted? Nir Eyal also talks about distraction, because we are afraid of being who we really are. We are afraid of success. We are afraid to find a voice and say, this is who I want to be. This is what I want to do. And each one of us has a unique quality that the world is longing to see if we were only willing and able to bring it out and show it to the world. So he also talks about, when he talks about values, he talks about that each of us, if we were to bring those values out, he describes it as God has given each one of us $1 billion in intellectual property rights. That means we've got so much stuff in there that's of so much value that if we were only to share those resources with the world, it would be worth $1 billion. And the only thing that stops us from going there is ourselves. And so if you were to start looking at where you spend your time, where are your values, okay, setting a positive mindset, looking at the world through a different lens, you would start to move forward. I may have said this before in one of my talks because I say this repeatedly, but psychological studies have shown us that from the age of 1 to 5, we have been programmed 85%. Where do we get that programming from? that 85% in our formative years, from the time we were conceived to the time we reach age 5, we are programmed 85%. We are mostly with our parents. We're mostly with our mothers, the women, International Women's Day. See, we program all the children that we bring into the world. They learn what is morning, what is night. They don't know this when they're born. What is breakfast, what to eat for breakfast. They learn values, religious values, other habits. They watch the adults, they mimic, right? They are programmed 85%. And then you can add another 5% by the time a person is 18 years old. That comes from the neighborhood, extended family, the school you go to, the geographic area where you live, everything combined, teachers, other people that you were exposed to, you get another 5% tacked on. So that makes it 90%. Then you go to college maybe, and by the time you're 21, you're programmed 95%. You are the person you are. But with the balanced 5% that you have, you can change that programming. You can change it to be whichever person you choose to be. You can undo the programming. Okay, and so some of that programming, the negative programming, like, when a child is born, we're all excited. Wow, my kid has, normal, healthy, the mother's normal, it's healthy. And we're so excited. Nothing can be wrong with that little child. And then the child starts growing up, and then we start saying things to the child. You're so stupid. Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your cousin? Or why can't you be like the person down the road? This one gets so many marks. They passed. So-and-so's a doctor. That one's a lawyer. And guess what? Our mind, it absorbs negative messages that clings to us like Velcro. You have to pull it hard to change. And all the good things that have been said, it just slips away like Teflon. We don't remember it. They say for one negative message that we store, we need 11 positive messages to wipe it out. It's not that easy. So it's important to watch our language, using positive language all the time. That's also a mindset, because when we're doing the positive language, we're not only throwing out our positive energy, but we also can absorb positive energy from other people. And when we need 11 of those to wipe out one negative program that we have that's stored in our subconscious. Quite interesting that is. So on my toolkit number 5, I have to mention Michael Bungay-Stanier. He's a Canadian. He's a coach. He also comes from my chapter of the Coaching Federation here in Toronto. So we get to listen to him a lot. And you may be, if you're a LinkedIn member, he's been on LinkedIn recently a lot because he just published his new book. And he says that we shouldn't try to resist things, okay? He says the first answer is never really the real answer. We need to be curious. We need to ask more and more and more and not give up just because we're not hearing the right answer, okay? And we should not be deterred by somebody who gives an answer that we are not happy with. So accept that every change is a process. It's not instant coffee, It's like, when I talk to my Pakistani friends, everybody enjoys a cup of brewed tea. Like we in Canada like to have brewed coffee too. It's not instant coffee that you just make it and there, voila, there you there's your answer to everything. And so he says that to have a curious mind, don't accept the first thing you hear. Ask questions. And here's my friend Benjamin Hardy. I stumbled upon him quite by accident. He also has wonderful, wonderful YouTubes and podcasts that are very inspirational. And this quote really resonated with me. Ordinary people seek entertainment. Extraordinary people seek education and learning. And so we don't do things just for the fun of it. We do it because we want to be somebody. We want to leave an impact. Okay? And personality isn't permanent. And as I just said, with 5%, you can change your personality programming. Okay? And when he talks about being extraordinary, and I say this many a time, failure is not a person. Failure is only a situation. So your middle name is not so-and-so, failure, and your last name. Failure is a situation. So if you fail at one situation, you do it again. And again, it's just one way to discover what's the right way of doing this. Think of all the people that invented. Think of all the people that have an impact on you. They never got it just perfect right the first time. So if you first time you weren't good at it, remember it's not you. It's your learning process. So failure is only the situation. You just need to change the situation to be more successful. Also, being extraordinary. We were all programmed to be mediocre, but we were born to be extraordinary. Okay, so in our programming, when I say being mediocre, is that in your programming, you know, as a kid, you go to school, you get the marks that your parents like, you move on, you go to college, you make friends, you know, and you go through life. But in reality, we all have that one thing to be extraordinary. So if you were looking to thrive in this year of 2022, if you just started to do one thing a day that was extraordinary, can you imagine? At the end of a week, at the end of the month, you would have done 5 things, 10 things, 30 things that were extraordinary. It's all about stretching, right? When you use elastic and you stretch it and you pull it and you let it go, it never goes back to the same size. It's the same thing with us. When we stretch ourselves and we stretch ourselves and we do the one thing that's extraordinary and the one thing that's extraordinary, we become extraordinary. So I challenge everybody here on the call today is to do something, maybe step out of your comfort zone, maybe step out and do something that's extraordinary and see how good you feel. And it will move you one step to being closer to who you want to be. One of my mantras this year is to help people show up as the best version of themselves. How can you be the best version of yourself? That ideal self that Richard Boyatzis talks about. You know, what's the difference between your real self, what you're doing right now, and your ideal self? And so if you start to take these steps, slowly by slowly, it's a little process. You can start to be the person you never ever thought you could ever be. I would just say in all humility that I feel that I am that kind of person today, taking one step at a time. I'm like everybody else, like all of you. I've been through the highs and I've been through the lows in life. But I've always had this attitude, having a positive mindset, reading these books, doing things that will move me one step further, one step further, one step further. And don't think this gray hair is all very natural. I didn't get these gray hairs by not living my life. But really now, as I live and I share my wisdom and I coach people and I facilitate workshops, my end goal is really to help other people thrive. And that's really my purpose of being here today. sharing my tools. And I would say, you know, at this juncture, sharing with you tool number 6 is that even if you only took away one tool, okay, and you put that tool into practice, you will be taking quantum leaps in your life to making it positive. Even if you didn't take all 10 that I'm going to introduce you to, you just take one, you will start to make quantum leaps in your life. So remember that you are extraordinary, not just an everyday person. Each one of us, everybody has that extraordinary capacity. Oops. Ah. So here's another little joke. What's a Gmail account? Well, we move forward. I want an email account. I had to learn a lot of technology in these last 2 years with COVID. It was quite a challenge, let me tell you. If it wasn't for technology, I wouldn't be here with you all today, this morning, able to do a virtual talk across the oceans, all the way, have all of you sharing with me in Pakistan, in India, in Canada. How exciting this is. So point number 7, another one of my favorites that I use and read and listen to all the time is Brene Brown. She talks a lot about being vulnerable and being authentic. So being vulnerable is about taking risks. And if any of you have Netflix, there's a beautiful 1-hour documentary that she does on vulnerability on Netflix. If you subscribe to it, it can be seen all over the world. Okay, and she says that vulnerability is not about winning. And it's also not about losing. There's no such thing as winning and losing. It's to have the courage to be seen and to be heard and to have that voice. And as I apply it to women, especially, you know, we've been socially programmed. I certainly was, that women were supposed to be seen and not heard. The other day, somebody asked me this question, and it's so ever so true, and they wouldn't believe that I was brought up that way. I was just talking about how girls are programmed when I was being raised there in Pakistan. And even though I came from a different cultural background family, I always wanted to be a psychologist. Anyway, I've ended up being a coach, not too far from being a psychologist, but it took me a long time to get here. I always wanted to be a psychologist, and I would say that at home. And I got the usual answer, you know, that, not you. I'm going to spend money on you becoming a psychologist. You're going to get married and then stay at home and wash the dishes and cook and stuff. Why do you want to be a psychologist? Well, fast forward to today. I'm neither married, but I do spend time in the kitchen. Cooking is one of my favorite hobbies. And even though I live in Canada, for people who talk to me on a regular basis, I'm always cooking something that's truly desi, like a biryani or a halim, or the other day I made nihari, and you get all the shan masalas over here, so I can't forget that part of my programming. But as I'm saying about being who you are, breaking those barriers, having the courage to be seen and saying what it is you really want to do. And pretty soon, when you say, this is who I am, people accept you for whatever. They will support you in your journey. But you have to take the risk, be vulnerable. Being authentic is also is let go, be your true self. Once you start living your true self and embracing who you are, loving yourself, loving who you are, embracing, and I even say embracing your body, embracing your femininity, embracing your womanhood. It's the same for men. Embracing who you are and your role. There's no distinction. Break down the bias is the theme. And the theme for this year with International Women's Day. And so we all strive for equality, whether we live in Canada or whether we live in South Asia. Equality has been one of the biggest themes of International Women's Day. But if we were just to be authentic, be real, and show up as the best version of yourself. Stephen Covey and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He was introduced to me, well, you know, my gray hair, he was introduced to me way back in 1994. And I was so lucky that I attended his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, personally delivered by Stephen Covey. His book is ingrained in me. And if you remember, we tried to put something together for women called the 6.5 Habits for Highly Effective Women. And I did a talk for the British Council with your encouragement at that time. And we tried to make, you know, it was quite popular when I was doing it. But the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the thing from that, what I took away from his book, and I teach it to my students, and I teach it to my clients, and I teach it whenever I do a workshop. And you may have heard me say it before because I repeat it, it had a profound effect on me. Stephen Covey talks about the 4 human endowments. And that really stayed in my mind. He said these 4 human endowments is what separates us from the animal world. The first one is the gift of having your independent will. And when he went on to explain, it is our right to choose what we want to do at any given time. It's our will, it's our decision, it's our desire. We have that independently of anybody else. It's in our mind, that independent will. I am willing. And as I thought about it, that if I'm not exercising this right as a human being that separates me from the animal world, then I might as well be like the stray cat or the stray dog who's running an aimless life. So the minute you say, I will, you become intentional. It's not just a goal that I will achieve, and if I don't achieve, I'll carry it on for the next year. No, I will is intentional, it's strong. When you say, I can't, you've told your will that you cannot. So when you say, I cannot, it's true, because you've programmed your mind to say, I can't. But the minute you say, I will, you will get it done. And you can achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. The second gift is the gift of your creative imagination. What size is your creative imagination? It has no size, it has no color, it has no dimension. It's infinity. Your creative imagination is infinity. So if you can see it, you can make it. It will happen. But you have to see it first. Okay, it's in your imagination. I know too, little children and even me, you know, as a young kid, I would dream about coming and living abroad in Canada. Okay, and I've been an immigrant to Canada twice. I had to come back to Pakistan in order to come back to Canada again. That's pretty hilarious in some ways when you think about it. But when you can see it, you can imagine it, it's going to happen. Because once you've seen it and then you do it, it becomes the second time that you're doing it because you've done it once in your creative imagination. So let it flow, let your creative imagination flow into becoming the real self that you want to be, into the woman you want to be, into the man you choose to be. And you can empower that even to your children. Don't stifle that creative imagination, because then you're going to stop them and you will help them, not help them. You will start to create a scarcity mentality. You know, I don't have this. There's always a reason for why something can't happen. That's having a scarcity mentality. But when you use your creative imagination, wow, You have an abundance mentality. And then everything starts to flow into your life. And abundance is not only about money, it's about everything, about people, about love, it's about relationships. So get rid of the scarcity mentality, use your creative imagination and create abundance in your life. His third gift that Stephen Covey mentions in his book is the gift of your conscience. So your conscience is that little voice inside of you that says, this is wrong, this is not good. Follow your conscience. So you're using your independent will, you're using your creative imagination, and then your conscience will be your director. Okay, you're doing right or wrong, you're on the wrong path, get on it again, this is not correct, you're hurting somebody, all those kinds of things. And the fourth gift is the gift of leaving a legacy. And what does leaving a legacy mean? Leaving a legacy is all about what you leave behind. Okay? Not behind when you die. Not that kind of legacy. It's every time you turn your back, what is the person that you just left going to say about you, about your deeds, about the words you say? As Maya Angelou says, it's not, people don't remember you for what you said, they don't remember you for what you did, but they will always remember you for what you make them feel. So it's your deeds, that's the legacy you leave behind. So as I said, those four gifts, Stephen Covey, I've always been his fan from day one. I used to give his books away. I used to talk about him when I worked in Karachi with the British Council, with Octara. And he's had a profound effect, and that's why I wanted to share him with you. Tool number 9, Peter Bregman. Peter Bregman, he changed my life in a way where he helped me think about time, and he helped me think about feelings and emotions. We want to be so strong that we hide our feelings and our emotions. But he says in his talk, and you can hear his YouTubes also, he has 2 books out. One is 18 minutes about time, but his other book is Leading with Emotional Courage. And he says that if you can feel anything, you can do anything. And what he's really saying is that if you're willing to feel pain to get to where you want, then you can do anything. Don't stop yourself from doing something because it's painful. Remember, no pain, no gain. And if you can accept life, okay, if you can accept that life has pain. If we didn't have pain, we would be in heaven. We'd be in Jannat. We'd be in 7 heaven, 7 heaven. But this is life. So we have pain, we pay the price, and we get something wonderful. Don't be afraid not to do something because of pain, okay? And so you have to let go and not cling to anything, even if it's painful, because then it's going to pay you back. Let go of negative thoughts, let go of negative people, let go of things that you cling to, that are part of your 85% programming, and create room for new thoughts so that the abundance mentality can just keep flowing in. So remember, if you can feel and you're a feeling person, you can do anything you want. Great book, Leading with Emotional Courage. He talks a lot about how he has even inculcated that with his children and the amazing results that he has received from them. And so as I move along, we're doing good for time. We have lots of time for Q&A. As I move into number 10. Number 10, if you believe that the universe has your back. Maria Nemeth is another one of my gurus, and she has this great book that I also share with a lot of my friends. about mastering life's energies. And the biggest gift that we have, apart from the 4 human endowments that I shared with you from Stephen Covey, is the gift of gratitude. Gratitude for what we have. Say thank you, being appreciative. All right. And and when I'm saying about having gratitude, the very fact that all of us are here together on this virtual call, we are so blessed to be together this morning. For me, it's morning, early morning, International Women's Day. I feel totally blessed being in the midst of all of you. I have so much gratitude for being here, right? But you have gratitude for everything. The sun rising in the morning, the fact that all of you are here, you are truly blessed. You have a computer, you can listen to me, you can listen to positive things, you have access to amenities that many people around you don't have. And so as I go on to, and Maria Nemeth talks a lot about how you can create your own life's energies and start to eliminate the energies that you don't need for you to go forward. So I'm coming to the end of my talk, I would just share with you, some other thoughts that I have on thriving and being who you are. I shared with you my 10 top authors that I use all the time whenever I have to speak or when I have to talk. I hope you got some points. But I learned from Benjamin Hardy something else as we talk about gratitude, is having a journal, doing some journaling. And Benjamin talks about a brain dump. I think I shared that in another talk because I remember JJ, you saying you like that brain dump. So when you write in your journal, you dump all the negative stuff that you don't want. And you write and you write and you write and you get rid of it. And when you do that kind of writing, remember, it's not for anyone else to read. It's not even for you to reread again. It's just a dump. So after you've done that kind of writing, you can tear it up or burn it and throw it out. To do that kind of journaling, because it releases a lot of energy. And then there will come a time that when you start journaling, you will start to bring abundance in your life. It's a way to thrive. It's a way to overcome anxiety and overwhelm and create all the positive things that you need in your life. Along with that brain dump, okay, to make your mind turn to something that's positive, is having a gratitude journal. Very popular since the pandemic and COVID. Journaling has become a very common tool to help people deal with depression, anxiety, overwhelm, because once you put your thoughts out there on paper, you kind of rid yourself of all that negative energy. But when you express gratitude and you write that down in your gratitude journal, you open the universe to bring even more positive things in your life. Because when you express gratitude, you know, the feeling that you go through in saying, thank you, I am grateful, I am happy, thank you for being in my life, I feel so blessed. It's an incredible feeling of openness to create that abundance that you're looking for and to thrive. And so with that, I kind of come to the end of my little talk. And this is a little quotation that I have. It is our passion that ultimately dictates our destiny. And I forgot about this little quotation of mine. And yesterday I got a new coaching client. And I asked him, like, why did you choose me to be your coach? And he said, I read that quotation of yours. It is our passion that ultimately dictates our destiny. And he said, I want you as a coach to create that kind of passion within me. And I thought, oh, that's, you know, you never know how what you say has impact on other people. But that was quite a compliment. And so I wish you a thriving 2022, what's left of it, the other 10 months. And if you have any Q&As, and also it might be a good time for me to just share that I will soon be coming out with my new book. You will be seeing it on LinkedIn and you'll be seeing it announced, called The 26 Pathways to a Life My Way. So it will be about the 26 ways that I have experienced and that I have shared with others that will create a life of your own. So happy International Women's Day. And I know it's probably the end of the day in some of the where you live, but enjoy and celebrate who you are. Thank you for listening to me. And I will stop sharing, Aisha, and if there are any questions and so on in the chat line, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Rosemary, for your presentation and giving us actually the user manual for 2022. I thrive in 10, 10 values or 10 tips that you have shared with us. There are a few appreciation messages in the chat box. And Sana is saying Happy Women's Day to all the ladies. Then Adil Saab is also saying counting one's blessing. Sure, please. Okay, excellent thought to have a gratitude journal, saying Sana Hassan. So there's a lot of encouragement. There's one question from Adil Saab. He's asking, how does one thrive in a low trust culture? So that's the only question that we have in the chat box.
Is that a trick question, Adil? How does one thrive in a low trust culture? It's your mindset. You are calling it a low trust culture. How can you make it a high trust culture? Trust is a two-way street, right? So, and it's a process. So I don't know if you're talking about an organizational culture. It's a scarcity mentality. When you have a low trust culture, we want to make it an abundance mentality, right? So trust is built one thing, one step at a time. You prove your loyalty, you prove your trust, okay? All by creating the trust yourself. And maybe some of the points, you can take one or two of the points, be your authentic self. If other people don't trust you, you continue being your authentic self.
Okay, then Sana is saying how to climb the ladder quicker in the company.
Climbing the ladder in a company is not a game. You can't do it quick, but I assure you that if you are your true self, you are your authentic self, and you state whatever it is you want, you work the way you do the work, the way you think is the best for everybody, you exemplify, use your creative imagination to state your vision or where you want to go. It's all in your mindset. Does that answer you, Sana?
Sana, you can unmute yourself and if you want to contribute or say something. Yes, she's saying yes, thanks. Okay. So I think Abid is also appreciating excellent session and he's also thanking you and team Octara. Adil Saab is saying, is it the world in the grip of scarcity mentality? Do you agree?
Is the world in the grip of a scarcity mentality?
Yeah, that's his question. That's his.
Not in my world. So I don't know which world. It's your choice to be in a scarcity mentality or an abundance mentality. So I cannot speak for the world. If I didn't have an abundance mentality, I wouldn't be with you this morning.
So the last question from Sana, she's saying, how can we keep learning with our job?
How can we keep learning in our job?
Yeah, with our job.
Have that curiosity mindset. You can learn. There's online free courses. There are books to read. Technology has made a big difference, a major difference on how we can learn. Coursera, there is lots of places where you get free courses. Daphne,
So,
what are you saying?
Can I intervene for just a minute?
Sure.
Rosemary, ये जो climate change and all of this, तो ये तो हर एक के दिल में, you know, we're all kind of seized with this fear of what's coming across the horizon. So you're talking about an abundance mentality in an era where we are in a state of siege, seems to be a bit utopian, don't you think?
I don't think. We're all going through, globally, the pandemic and all has affected the whole world, right? Some countries worse than others. And right now, the political situation may be affecting. You can only control what you can control. Focus on what you can control, not on what you can't control. So create abundance on what you can control. The rest is up to the universe to give it to you.
So you're advocating the spiritual quotient.
Don't lose faith.
Sorry?
As I said, yes, don't lose faith and belief.
Very important. Yes.
Thank you, Alsaf, for your question and your, now I think we have like 4 minutes for the ending. So before we reach to the to the ending time, we would like to take a group photograph with all the participants. And at this point, I would request all of you to switch on your cameras with your mics on mute so that we can take a group photograph. My colleague Sarim will prompt you and
sure, please everyone turn on the camera if possible.
only if you are comfortable.
Aisha, will this program recording be shared with people? They are asking that question.
Yes, this program will be shared, the recording will be shared, and it will also be available on Octara's YouTube channel. So in a day or two. So you'll get this through email and also on our Octara's YouTube channel. So are we ready?
No, people are feeling shy.
Okay, we'll give them a few seconds.
Maybe they didn't get all dressed up to be on stage like me. And you look fabulous, Aisha.
Thank you, but you are the showstopper. Show winner, I must say.
Well, this is the color of International Women's Day, purple. That's why I wore it today. Yes.
Okay. So.
Okay. So we are ready. Okay.
A thumbs up and a smile would work.
Okay. Let's 1, 2, 3. Done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rosemary.
Sorry, my camera is not working.
What's not working?
My camera is not working.
But we can see you.
We can see you.
I'm here with Sharon.
Ah, okay.
Yes, neither is mine, Rosemary.
Your camera?
Mm-hmm.
That's got to do with your equipment.
Oh,
Anyway.
really?
We're near the end anyway.
Yeah.
So on that ending note, I would like to request JJ to add few notes to the webinar.
Picture.
Oh. Rosemary outfit is very.
Thank you. Daphne is my childhood friend. She has known me from my school days, even before I did my O-levels.
JJ, can you hear me?
It's really nice to have you here in the audience.
Yes, I cannot believe this.
Thank you.
I think there is some technical issue going on.
Mm-hmm.
JJ, can you hear me?
Jamil has to unmute himself. He's stuck.
So
maybe you will have to do the honors of closing the program, Aisha.
Yeah. Before we, he's getting his technology thing done. Here is a link to the feedback of this program. So I request all the participants to, have this, give us the feedback regarding the program. The link
Please
will be in the
do.
chat box. Yeah, the link will be in the chat box, and you can share your feedback or whatever suggestion you have for this program and upcoming programs for us, for Octara to align in the future.
I think JJ is going to sign in again.
Yeah. Maybe there is some technical glitch over there.
Yeah. Yes, there is some internet problem.
Okay, this is technology. Oh.
Sarim, have you pasted the link in the chat box?
Yes, I pasted them.
So the link is in the chat box. You can share your feedback from there. And in the meanwhile, while you are filling the feedback form, I would like to talk about these two platforms. These are online web WhatsApp channel where we provide e-learning in all sorts of forms, in the form of webinars and podcasts and storytelling sessions, e-newsletter, digitization, HRM management, advisory trend, and whatnot. So if you wanted to get access of all these e-learning programs free of cost, you just have to register yourself, and then you can get access to all the programs. On your right side, I hope you can see the screen. We have another WhatsApp group, which is called Made in Pakistan Web Mall. Here we share all the positive news and achievement made by Pakistanis or in Pakistan and all across the globe. So it's an open channel. If you want to share positive news regarding Pakistan, you can, the procedure of registration is the same. You have to register yourself and you can become a member of this chat group as well. And then a few announcements regarding our upcoming program. We have a program workshop in Karachi, which is called Bearing System Design by Khurram Shahzad. It's a one-day workshop on 10th of March. Then we have online training, Hire the Best with Rahila Narejo. It's scheduled on 22nd of March. Then we have a program with Hasib Hassan on effective negotiation skills. It's on 24th. And then we have another program on 24th, which is Best Secretarial Practices by Zofisha. And lastly, we have a program on sales management for pharma professional. So if any of this program is of interest to you or your colleagues, you can share it. And further, you can contact my colleague Sarimati for further information for registration and contact details. Also, we are very active on social media, so you can have more information on all our social media channel. That includes our LinkedIn page and our Octara website, our YouTube channel. We have a micro learning channel on LinkedIn. So you can access all our learning programs from there.
So it looks like JJ can't come back on. Aisha?
Just a second. Just a second. So I think there is some connection error going on in the wherever he's trying to connect. He's here. JJ, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. I've changed my seat. I've taken my colleague Sarim's position, and I lost connectivity about 5 minutes back. So where are we at, Aisha?
We are waiting
JJ,
for you. You are in the hot seat now, JJ.
Thanks. I think we've gone over the 1 hour time that we set for this particular session. So I'd like to conclude with starting with the tool number 9, which Rosemary shared with us, which is thanking in gratitude for your time again this year for the Women's Day. You're very kind, Rosemary, to give us an hour of your life every morning, at least 2 or 3 times in a year. And we again apologize for the early morning that you have to wake up, but like I've promised you earlier, sometimes when you're here in Karachi, we can treat you to some nihari and some other stuff that you cook at home, see. But so thank you very much, Rosemary. And in conclusion, I'd like to share with you a book, so that you can add it to your collection, which surprisingly, I was surprised that you didn't have that book. So I will show that book, and I would suggest that you immediately get it. It's a book called Thrive. This book is basically was published in 2010, and it was based on a research made by the author, Dan Buettner, who studied the longevity, the reasons for people's longevity, life longevity, in over 25 continents. And I think he interviewed close to about, again, 25 people who were centenarians, who had crossed their age of 100 years. So, the question that was asked in this research of these centenarians was, what is it that made you thrive? And when we are talking about thrive, the alternate word for thrive is happiness. So what is it that one does to be happy, to be able to live a happy, long life, you see? And he shared quite a few bullet points, quite useful tips, like your 10 tools that you have shared with us, so kindly shared with us. He's shared about over 30 to 35 simple points as to what is it that you should be doing that will make you happy. And again, this is based on research on centenarians, people who have crossed 100 years. What did they say about what they did in their lives that made them happy? So I can just list out a few of the pointers that he has shared in the book. I would suggest everyone to seriously consider about getting this book. We can put it up later on the the book's name and the author, and especially you, Rosemary. I would suggest you also. I'm very impressed with the list of books that you have in your background, and obviously you've spent a lot of time not only collecting them but going through them. And again, you were very kind to share in the spirit of abundance, share all this knowledge. See, so those pointers that these centenarians have said, and they're very simple points. I mean, I've got listed about 30 of them. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but if there's any interest, you can always write to Octara and we can give you this 30 to 35 pointers that have been given out, which are very, very basic. There's nothing new about it, but it's good to sort of to revisit those points, because we tend to forget a lot of things that we should be doing. So, he suggests that first of all, to be happy and to thrive, and especially in this year, 2022, you should have, as much as possible, you should try to be economically free. So you should have economic freedom. The other point is that you should be tolerant. You should have a high level of tolerance for everything that comes in your way. Then, of course, he's talking about the practical aspects of thriving, which are, you should avoid long jobs that involve long commutes. You should not skip vacation. You should now, this is a very important point. You should seek out the right boss. It's always an issue with regards to finding a job. But if you have a boss like Rosemary Fernandez, look at bosses that have the same kind of attitude that she has. You should upgrade your social network. You should marry the right person, Rosemary. And you should basically marry someone that is similar to you. That makes you a very happy life. You should enroll in automatic savings. That's very important. To be happy, you should be always saving a certain amount of your salary. Now, this is something that we are not taught over here, or we're not encouraged, or we don't have this habit. But I would suggest to everyone, to be economically free, you need to be saving at least 10% of your salary. Keep it away. The minute you get your salary, keep the salary in a bank account and let it add up as you go along. Sometimes after 20, 30 years, you will find that amounts to a lot of money, which is going to be making you happy and thrive. Then the other thing is at home. You see, you need to sort of have fewer TVs at home. Just get rid of these TV, because they don't allow you to thrive, or don't allow you to think for yourself. You should cancel cable if you have that. One of the things that I think is very important is to own a pet. And that makes your life much happier, and also respect animals. You should create for yourself some space of meditation where you can say your prayers, or you can sort of meditate. You should grow a garden. If you don't have space for a garden, you can always grow inside the house, along the windows. You should grow some flowers. That's very helpful to make you thrive. You should maximize as much. You should take as much of sunlight as possible, because that's very useful for your body, and also it gives you positivity in your mind. You should optimize your bedroom for sleep. We generally go to sleep with our with our phones on and with the TV on, and so I think with the music on, I think that's something that we tend to ignore, that sleeping soundly in a quiet environment, in a dark environment, is very healthy for your body. You should find a purpose partner, which I've already mentioned earlier on, somebody who matches like you, to be happy. Find a hobby. We don't have hobbies. Most of us generally go through life thinking that watching TV and watching all these stupid shows is a hobby. No, that's not a hobby. Just eliminate that TV screen if you can, so that you can find a hobby. It could be anything. It could be sports. It could be at home. It could be crossword puzzles. But it has to be something that engages your mind. You should basically have an appreciation for art. You should volunteer for all kinds of help in your community. You should put friends first wherever necessary. Take some music lessons if you're inclined towards music, and just encourage sports amongst yourselves, amongst your family, yourself itself. So I mean, these are quick points that I just shared with you, but the book itself has got a much more narration on all these topics. But Rosemary, I think your 10 tools are very handy, very useful, and I'm glad that this is being recorded so that our participants can go through these points in detail and hopefully practice it as much as possible. I'd like to thank my colleagues at Octara, specifically Aisha and Sarim, who put this program together, and all who helped them put it together. And I would like to thank all the participants for taking time out. There have been so many other webinars on this Women's Day, and I'm glad that at least we had a sizable number of people. Obviously, there were people who are interested in knowing how to thrive in 2022. So I would like to thank each one of you for finding the time from your busy day to come over and sort of encourage us with these kind of programs. So once again, in the end, thank you very much, Rosemary.
Thank you.
And I would like to go back to our, I know Rosemary since mid-90s, when we worked together at Octara, and like she said, at the British Council. And yes, I remember that first time that we did this program with you was on the, was trying to sort of take the 7 habits of effective people and to sort of since it was a kind of a issue with copyright, we called it, if I recall, the 7.5 habits of highly effective people. I don't remember now what the half was, extra half was, but if you do, please share it with us. So
the extra half was loving yourself.
Okay, yes, having a deep respect for yourself. That's good. That's nice. So once again, everyone, thank you very much for your time and your effort to come over here. Certificates will be issued in the name of from Octara and from Coaching Works. Signatures of Fernandez, Rosemary, as well as Octara will be there for you. There is a cost to it because we have no choice. Previously, we used to give it away online as a soft copy, but if you want a hard copy, it's only costing 500 rupees, which is the cost of the printing in color and also the delivery at your home or your office. So it's just covering that cost. Maybe we might actually be putting a little money from our side, but if you need 500 rupees is, I think, something that you would like to frame in your office or in your portfolio. So just call up Octara and you can get that certificate if you pay up 500 rupees. So everyone, thank you very much. Aisha, you would like to share some other something else, some announcement?
JD, I've made all the announcement. Just want to thank all the participants. You have already reinforced and explained about the getting of certificates. And that's it. And thank you to all the participants, Rosemary and my colleagues at Octara. So see you in the next webinar or online program.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Welcome.
And thank you, Adil, if you're still there.
Looks
My
like
name is
people,
Sarim now.
people don't want to go.
Yeah, like you so much, Rosemary.
You can stop the recording, Rosemary.